The world of AI is changing quickly. There are tools and technology popping up all the time. Honestly, it's pretty hard to keep up with. If you're overwhelmed, you are not alone. I am also overwhelmed trying to do my job and carve off a few minutes every once in a while to keep up. It's quite the challenge. For this one, I'm gonna cover just an intro to a lot of the different things you can do, call out a number of these technologies, provide the links below in the form of their website so that you can click and check them out yourself if anything seems interesting. Let's dive in. A very common use case is content creation. So their Write Sonic is a tool that allows you to do copy generation. Part of me's wondered at first, okay, but isn't this kind of like every other tool that's out there? But this seems to be formatted specifically for landing pages. So in a few clicks, you can start to generate headline copy and description copy, call to action buttons, all of that and more for generating landing pages. I haven't dived into this tool just yet, but hope to very soon. Next up on the list is Riplet. So Riplet is actually a marketplace where you can source software engineers to get problems solved. It's pretty cool. I believe they also have a upskilling element. So if you want to learn to code, Riplet will take you through a curriculum and give you some bite-sized projects that you can start to work on based on people who are commissioning them. Okay, and they have, I believe, integrated some AI into their tooling. Now, video editing and video creation is pretty huge. Synthesia, from what I can tell, as I've reviewed their website, allows you to put in a script and different content, and then it will generate the video for you, or at least a template video that you can start to edit from there, really giving you a better boilerplate or template to start from. Pretty neat. Now, SongDraw is for music creation. If you love music, check out SongDraw and see what you can come up with and use AI to create some pretty compelling songs. I have a friend of mine years ago who, when this was kind of starting, I believe Spotify was one of the first groups that was incentivized to actually use AI to generate music at scale. And one of the pieces of feedback, I'm not a music person, but my friend had said back in the day, he was like, yeah, it's pretty impressive and it's just missing something, and I can't quite tell you what it is, but my gut says it's the soul of the music, and that's a very ooh, yeah, cool, fun, hip thing to say. He's very creative, and so it makes sense that he would have that take. And as a non-music person, I hear it and I'm like, yeah, that kind of sounds like music. My gut says it's probably not going to be chart-topping great yet, but really good for some background music like playing on a YouTube video. Okay, Flicky is another video and meets audio tool, turning text into videos. You can read, so I'm not gonna dive in. If you're interested in playing around with video and AI, Flicky is worth checking out. Next is on the presentation topics. I've got a few here that generate presentations. Slides AI is one of them, and you actually embed this into Google Slides and it helps you generate the slide. This ranks among one of my top picks for diving a little bit deeper, so more on that soon. Remini, it allows you to do photo improving, photo refining using AI, and so you could take that blurry photo that maybe somebody took for you and you wished it was a little bit sharper. Well, they actually have a great little sample here. So one thing that I love and is kind of draws me in is how easily can I get in and start to play with the AI tool. Remini has covered that with a simple web experience, allowing you to upload a photo and see it before and after. They also have this very clever UI element here that lets me see the before and after and kind of just slide it and compare the differences. Now, Pictory is for video creation. I started to go pretty deep here, and it seems like a very robust tool. They actually have a lot of testimonials. I maybe spent most of my time watching the testimonials of other people who've used this. Moving along, this is WordTune. So the demo on the top of their website is pretty simple, right? And they've give you some examples, and at first I'm like, yeah, you're kind of saying the same thing, only slightly different. So I thought I would test it out. Coming down here, I put in a phrase, I'm creating a YouTube channel for people to learn about AI, and let me rewrite that and see what comes up. Right? Another example of having a really great demo can be a perfect hook that pulls you in and lets you play around with it before you have to commit to put in a credit card or create an account. This next group, actually, full disclosure, are some friends of mine who started this business a number of years ago and have been doing a lot of great work with helping sales professionals get higher open and click-through rates and response rates on their emails. So check out Lavender. And one of the features that I've paused on here lets you put in some bullet points, and then it will actually generate a template email that you can send based on the key points that you want to cover in the email. So if you're a salesperson, feel free to check out Lavender AI. They have a Chrome extension that I believe rides right on top of Gmail, which takes us into a number of other plugins that we'll get to in a little bit about Chrome extensions, sitting on top of Google Chrome and the interface that you already use every day and helping complement that experience. Next up is Preppery. All right, if I'm saying that correct, they have a resume maker. And I haven't dove too deep into this, but for some of you who may be either looking for a job or looking to freshen up that resume, this could be a great tool to check out. This, for me, starts to feel a lot like the type of tool that actually isn't AI and just like they had something else going on and strapped artificial intelligence on the front end. That being said, I'm very much just judging the book by its cover, but it just feels like AI as an afterthought, less of like the main thing they do, but probably worth checking out if you are looking to create a resume. Udly, this gets deep down the dark rabbit hole of creepy stuff with AI, and I'm here for it. Udly seems to be a desktop app that you would install, and it rides along with your interactions on your computer. So here I'm recording a video, and so it's capturing that transcript. I'm having Zoom calls and phone calls and all of these different things, and it's capturing that content and giving you feedback based on your communication. So it'll help you, and here you can see your pacing, your filler words. I tend to talk really fast and I don't need a tool to tell me that, but for many people who may want more feedback in the way they communicate, Udly seems to provide some great insights. Now, I have not tried Udly yet, but I've tried a similar tool, and that is Rewind. So Rewind, I listened to the founder on a podcast. I believe it was This Week in Startups with Jason Calacanis, and the founder came on of Rewind. What they're trying to do is capture everything you see, hear, or say on your computer throughout the day. So I installed Rewind, and at first I was like, wow, this is super creepy. And it's, if you've ever come across keystroke logging technology and were weirded out by it, this is that on steroids. It gives you a complete history, and I'll probably do a deeper dive on Rewind because I've got all kinds of thoughts and observations. But the most approachable part of Rewind is that your data is not pushed to the cloud. It's stored locally. So why I felt a little bit safer about using Rewind or testing it out was because my data wasn't being used to push up and be accessed by others, but actually was stored locally and gave me the ability to search and filter and all of that kind of stuff. My own information without it being recorded in a place that I may one day grow to regret. Scribe. This seems to be workflow automation. So you can start Scribed, and as you can see in this little preview here, you can do a bunch of things on the screen and then come back later and it will rerun that workflow for you. So many of us, whether we realize it or not, 20 to 30% of what we do is kind of the same routine. Maybe we're looking at analytics or viewing a certain tab in a certain website. Well, Scribe seems to allow us to record that walkthrough and then actually rerun that over time. And so let's say you were trying to add 100 new products to your e-commerce store, then Scribe would be a way of automating that very manual process without having to program a solution. So very much, hijacking your key, your arrow cursor on your window and completing these actions in a more automated fashion, but by taking control of your computer, not having to create a script. All right, Compose AI, another tool that allows you to write and improve your writing, but this one is a Chrome extension. So the next couple are Chrome browser extensions, a lot like the other stuff we've seen, but in the form of a Chrome extension. Next up is a YouTube summary. And so imagine coming across a YouTube video, not really wanting to watch 40 minutes of content to get to the core parts of that video. And so Glasp seems to allow you to get that YouTube summary. It does appear very obviously they're using ChatGPT to do so, but to digest that in the form of a Chrome plugin. Next up is ChatGPT Prompt Genius. So if you've used ChatGPT, which at this point I hope you have, it can be kind of hard to remember or go back and find those prompts that you used that you really liked. And so Prompt Genius allows you an interface where you can store and save and come back to those and get rid of certain prompts, simplifying repetitive workflows over and over again in the form of a Chrome plugin. At the time of this recording, Google also released a Bard plugin. And so I'm going to search for the Bard plugin, pulls up this little sidebar. So if you're doing a Google search, it will pull you up the Bard response. And yes, I'm getting the same result every time, which is a security check being required. And then I click ChatGPT and this doesn't work either. So I've not been able to get the Bard Chrome plugin to work, but it's there. You can test it out. From what I can see, at least on the reviews, it does not seem like everyone's having this problem. Maybe it's just me, but that is another Chrome plugin. And where I think this becomes very powerful, or many people who have Chrome plugins become very nervous, is once Google is combining their search engine with their AI, with their browsing capabilities, you can see how very quickly Google is going to start to roll up the field and surge ahead of the competition. Okay, Agent GPT. This allows you to run through a series of prompts, and actually you share with it your intent and it gets to work. And so I'm going to walk you through one example here. Plan a detailed trip to Hawaii. Great. So when I click this, what starts to happen is it seems like it's issuing a prompt and then getting the response, taking that response, breaking it out into subtasks, and then systematically working through the different tasks. So over here on the right, you can start to see I have a task list that's forming based on the responses that I'm given. It's pretty overwhelming. It took me a little bit of just watching what it was doing to understand what was going on, but I feel pretty confident that that's the case, is it's using this like prompt and response parsing in order to start to frame out larger and larger workflows and tasks. What I have not seen yet is what to do with this information once it comes in. Also, I can't like stop it. And I wish I could say, okay, wait a minute, you're wrong. Like I want to put a little more information here, or maybe put a budget in, because I do think the response could change based on the information that I provide, but pretty neat. I'm going to stop it here because it will just keep going. Now, agent, this term agent is what many are believing will be the primary interface for AI, is that, the Expedia will have an agent, and the New York Times may have an agent, and I have an agent personally, and these agents interact with each other, and they're all kind of different, but share a common knowledge pool and an interface. So having something that is actually begins to know our likes and our preferences, and then can bring those to the total party of AI. So agent will likely be a term that at least I've seen popping up more and more, and I could see others adopting that as well. All right, now let's talk about preferences. So there's this trip notes tool, which seems to be like a location-based research tool. The experience here is very neat, right? It's zooming you into a spot in the globe. It's also giving you some follow-up prompts, 5 places to take a client to lunch. So I'm gonna click this. It's doing some work here. So UI is great, zooming in, pulling up different things, plotting them on a map. One thing that I know, because this is an area I'm familiar with, the restaurant selection they gave me is kind of 50-50. First one, I know from experience that Yelp rates that very high, but I think they just do a good job of promoting to their customers on Yelp. And so they score very high. The food's actually kind of just meh. But the second one's great, and I think is a great option. And so back to the curation that needs to be required. But neat tool. I got lost for a while playing around with trip notes. Next up, and this is at least the most visually, aesthetically pleasing of the tools that I came across, is Gamma. So a new medium for presenting ideas powered by AI. This, similar to the previous tool I mentioned for presentation creation, this one seems like it will put together an idea or concepts into a deck. It'll also very easily, at least as far as the demos suggest, spit out different versions and different variations. I want to call out that this is visually stunning, and a lot of the AI tools are visually stunning tools. Many of those can be deceiving, and they can look really great and have a really good wrapper on them, but that doesn't necessarily mean or say anything about the underlying technology itself. I'm not saying that's the case with Gamma. Gamma could be great, and this will be one of the tools that I'm diving into next, but that's something that is becoming very obvious as I look through all of these tools, and you've probably noticed this as well. The internet is getting very good at making things look great, but the question is, what is powering it underneath? My gut says about 50% of these tools are powered by ChatGPT. More and more will start to be powered by Google's Bard, but the actual proprietary underlying technology is to be determined. We covered a lot of ground. We looked at a lot of tools and use cases, from resume building to video editing, video creation, creating resumes, Chrome plugins, all those things and more. We will be diving into some of these, but my hope is that this gives you a little bit of sampling for what's out there and what's coming. And I hope you choose one or two to start to dive in yourself. Until next time.